On India Decides tonight, the controversy over the anti-rape ordinance. Is it a betrayal or is it a breakthrough in the fight against sexual violence? That's going to be our top story and our top debate tonight, with the government hoping that their anti-rape ordinance would draw praise for speedy action. But this might have been a miscalculation. Activists at the forefront at the fight for changed anti-rape laws have strongly questioned the decision, calling the ordinance a betrayal. The government has claimed that this was an overreaction and that they've taken on board a majority of the suggestions of the Justice Verma Commission. Before we go into our exclusive interview with one of the architects of the ordinance, Law Minister Ashwini Kumar, here's a run-through of what the government has accepted and what they have rejected, broadly of course. Amongst the decisions of the Justice Verma Commission that have been accepted is to broaden the definition of sexual violence to include stalking, voyeurism, trafficking, as well as strengthening the penalties against gang rape. Fully accepted. Evidence of the character of previous sexual experience not relevant anymore. Again accepted. A similar clause of questions regarding the moral character of the victim will not be put to her during cross-examination. Again accepted. And also sexual intercourse by a person in authority, bringing that in as well under the ambit of the laws, has also been accepted. But let's now look at some of those clauses which have not been accepted. And that is what the activists are questioning. One, of course, the most significant is that the making of marital rape a criminal offence has not been accepted. Also, the idea of rejecting the sanction needed to prosecute public servants if accused of crimes against women, rejected. Bringing the armed forces under the sexual offences law, which means a modification of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, rejected. Fixing criminal responsibility on the leader of a force for acts committed by his or her subordinates has also been rejected. Right, so this was amongst a wide range of questions that I put to Law Minister Ashwini Kumar, who spoke to us exclusively from Punjab earlier on in the evening, where I began by asking him whether in fact the government had rejected the spirit of the Verma Commission report.
Not at all. In fact, we have accepted 90% of Justice Verma's recommendations. It may be a difference in perception or interpretation, but let me tell you, we have actually responded with the utmost sensitivity to the recommendations of Justice Verma, because we do appreciate and we know that a lot of effort had gone into proposing those recommendations. But at the end of the day, government is entitled in its wisdom to take a holistic view of the entire gamut of issues involved.
It's interesting you say that, because these groups believe the exact opposite. They say that the most radical aspects of Justice Verma's recommendations, which included tackling the institutionalized impunity against women when it came to sexual violence, has been omitted. Primary amongst that is that you've left out marital rape without giving any clear reasons. It just simply says was not retained by Ministry of Home Affairs as marital rape was not agreed to. Why was that omitted?
Please read the new ordinance and its provisions in its entirety. Sexual assault of any kind, which will include any situation, is not outside the remit of this act. Therefore, this is a matter of subjective interpretation. And in any case, if any clarification is required in any particular provision, that can always be done.
It says very specifically, I have the press release yesterday of the government before me. Under the not accepted column, it very clearly says, sexual assault by husband upon his wife during separation. Verma committee wanted to include it, but marital rape was not agreed to. So you've clearly excluded that, for at least in the ambit of this ordinance.
Now look, I cannot define the ambit of the ordinance with reference to a communique. I don't know how you are reading it. But I want to assure you that no case of sexual assault is in a way outside the remit of this ordinance. Sexual assault has been very, very widely defined. And this is not the place for me to discuss the nitty-gritty of a particular provision. I will not be doing justice either to
No,
the provision or to the debate.
Okay, but this on this particular provision, because there's so much, it's triggered. Are you saying, therefore, that the definition of sexual assault, as per the original ordinance, a copy of which we don't have, we only have your press release, is wide enough to include rape within a marriage? Marital rape would be included in that wide definition?
The problem of discussions of this kind is that you don't have the ordinance in front of you, and you are seeking to present a point on the basis of
that's why I'm asking you
that has been issued.
No, but that's why I'm asking you, sir.
I am telling you, and I've stated it twice, that sexual assault as defined in the ordinance is as wide as it could be to subserve the purposes of the Act.
Okay, the other area which they feel, which again feeds into their view of how you've not tackled the question of impunity, is where Justice Verma had recommended that there should be responsibility fixed, what he called command responsibility of those who are in any position of authority, as well as public servants, bureaucrats, and of course the armed forces. In each of the cases, he'd wanted to bring them under the ambit of the anti-rape legislation, that there was no need for sanction, but you've excluded all those authorities. Why is that?
Well, what we have stated is a part of the ordinance that we have proposed to the President to promulgate.
Yes.
I started by saying that if certain recommendations have not been accepted in their totality and in the form that was suggested to us, that has been a conscious and a deliberative decision. Government is entitled to take a view considering the totality of the circumstances and the exigencies of administration and a whole range of other issues. But suffice it to say that no one can accuse the government of not very, very substantially accepting the letter, the substance and the spirit of the Justice G.S. Verma Committee's recommendations.
This is a process, this is a democratic process.
Could
you share, while of course the government is entitled in its wisdom to retain what it wants and reject what it wants, but if you could help us by sharing some of that rationale, because that's what people want to know. For example, you've rejected the idea of sanction for prosecution for judges, magistrates and other public servants because you believe that this leads to false complaints. Was that the concern there? Yeah, that's what the ordinance says.
Yes. Well, this has always been one of the concerns, that you have to protect people from vexatious prosecution. This has been the logic in the Lokpal bill. This could be the logic here. But there are a whole range of issues. For example, command responsibility is a matter that has to be considered in its totality. Therefore, please understand what was the immediate need. The immediate need of the hour was to secure and send out a clear message to the women of this country that they have no reason to feel unprotected and insecure against mindless violence and heinous crimes against their person. I think we have more than fulfilled and validated that assurance to the people of India.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.